Today for dinner we are going to be having a pork loin stuffed with a blend of goat cheese, fennel, or goat cheese, thyme, and a little bit of honey, and a rub of uh, garlic, sun-dried tomatoes, a little bit of salt, little bit of pepper, and we might be throwing in some diced red pepper and some slivered scallions I had from dinner last night. So firstly, I am trimming the pork loin. I don't want to cut off too much. Really just any of these thicker fibrous pieces. It is a pretty tender cut. There isn't a lot of fat on it. So the little silver skin bit, you definitely do not want to be chewing on that later. Ideally, you want to cut as close to the edge as possible. Sometimes the cut ends up being a little bit deeper. So now that that is trimmed, I am going to give a little slice right on the bottom.
How deep?
Gonna go almost to the edge. I'm basically unrolling the pork loin. I am making the sheets, the little rolled up bits. So it's about 1/4 of an inch thick, more or less straight across. I'm going to do the same with the other one.
Two of them came in the same package.
Yep. Which sometimes when people wonder, well, why can't you just get one? Well, the animal has two, so they basically just give you the pair from one pig. A lot of times this might be easier using a paring knife, but A, I like playing with this knife. B, I tend to prefer the longer knives. I feel I have more control over them. The longer slicers, the larger chef's knives, the 10-inch. I don't really use my paring knife that often. Boning knife, sometimes. Just like the other one, I'm going to unroll this one. It's always best to start the cut at the point of it. I find it makes it a lot easier to get more of an even slice. It's easier to gauge where you should be starting. So next, I'm going to proceed to make a paste with some sun-dried tomatoes and garlic. I chopped up about a quarter cup or so of each. Got it chopped up fine. There's about a teaspoon and a half of salt in here. Just gonna get it going until it's got a little bit of a pasty consistency. I'll be slowly adding some olive oil sporadically. This is what is going to be rubbed all over the outside of the loin.
Now, were the sun-dried tomatoes in a jar or a package?
These ones were in a package. I also have a jar amongst my spices with some oil that I keep on replenishing, using it primarily for the oil. I've also purchased before the whole ones. These, though, were the thinly sliced ones in the package.
And they were dry.
Yep. And the salt's good in there because it helps give it that rougher texture. So it really helps grind everything down. You see, I use this thing. I use this for everything. My mortar and pestle is probably one of the most used things in my kitchen, along with my knives. I'm going to add a little bit of some extra virgin olive oil. And I'll keep on doing this, adding more oil bit by bit until I get some that's basically the consistency of a pesto. Only without the basil or the Parmesan.
So what are we looking at?
That is a paste made of olive oil, sun-dried tomatoes, salt, and some freshly minced garlic cloves.
And that's the rub for the
That's going to be the rub for the pork loin. So next I have in here some crumbled goat cheese and a whole heap of thyme. And I'm going to smash it down with a fork and while mixing in honey and olive oil. This is going to be a little rub that's going to go on the inside of the loin. It's 1 log of goat cheese, about 15 sprigs or so of thyme.
Oh, and that wasn't Roger.
Looks like it's almost the consistency of a cream cheese dip.
Pretty close. Then it's going to be, by the end of it, a couple of tablespoons of honey. once I had the honey fully mixed in, I added a couple of teaspoons of extra virgin olive oil. Mixing it until it gets to be the consistency of a really soft cream cheese or a spreadable dip. Or like ricotta in lasagna.
Mm-hmm.
Now that the cheese for the inside is made, I'm going to start spreading it in and rolling these up. The cutting board I'd use, I'd had set it aside, so knew I was going to be needing to use it again for this.
How thick do you want to spread this?
Just enough just to coat all the inside. Nothing too thick. Because when it gets rolled up, it's just going to have more and more in it. I am going to use just about all of this between the two. And yes, it probably would have been better if I grabbed a knife to spread it, but I didn't feel like dirtying another dish.
It's working.
I'm going to go and fill them both before I wrap them up, just to make sure I evenly divide the cheese.
So you made sure they were rolled up tightly and the ends were tucked in?
Tucked in the ends to hold in all of the cheese. Next up, I'm going to tie them and then rub them. A noose knot?
A knot that slides.
Yes, a noose knot. That's the only way I can describe it. I don't know the actual
Slip knot?
That too. I don't mind the feel of the raw meat. It's like with seafood. It's relaxing.
What's next?
The tomato and garlic paste. Liberally applied.
I put me back on where I started. Fucking pH.
Get it greased. Next is some onions and some yellow potatoes.
A liberal dousing of olive oil.
A very liberal dousing. And some salt and pepper, and I'm going to throw in some whole sprigs of thyme, just to go along with the thyme that's mixed into the goat cheese. It's going to be a very strong flavored meal, like it should be. Always a fresh cracked pepper tastes better than that is dried out. Again, pretty liberal with this. Just to taste. Toss all together, put the loin on top, pop it in the oven, have the oven set at 350. I'll leave it in there for about 25 minutes or so. Then I'll check it, see where it's at. Of course, I'll put the extra bits on there. This way the juices from the pork get into the beef, or get into the potatoes. Uncovered oven. Anyway, it's at this point been in for about 45 minutes or so. So I got my thermometer handy, but it is fully cooked. Till everything is pretty firm. I'm looking for around a 150-ish temperature on the inside. This is harder because it is cut open, because it is split around. It is ready. So now I'm going to just take the pork loins off and put the pan back in to finish off the potatoes. So those do take long.
And this allows the meat to rest.
Yep. So not everything leaks out. Some potatoes are still
Just
pretty
about
firm. Almost there. Give them a stir, pop them back in. Minutes will be good to eat.
Gonna cover the pork loin?
Yes.
We will cover it with foil.
This will help keep the heat in, help protect it from being exposed.
And let the juices all absorb.
Right, so now the potatoes are cooked, the onions are all set. We're really hungry. Time to slice into the loin. Perfectly cooked all the way through. Have a nice medium or so on it, which is what you're looking for in pork. Grab the bowls. So we have our finished product, which is a goat cheese and thyme stuffed pork loin with a sun-dried tomato and garlic rub and some roasted potatoes and onions. Dive in. Hello, my name is Chef Rob, and